Hey everybody, this is Kite Altera here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I have been swamped these past few weeks, so I haven't been able to post nowhere near as much as I normally do. But with the holidays finally being over and, the holiday season dying down, I'm finally going to be able to post like I normally do, which will be 12:01 every Friday, Mountain Time, U.S. Mountain Time. So just look out for my videos. I'm going to start posting some more because the holidays are over. No more suffering. No more suffering. But in any case, this video is going to give you just a few updates and some additional plans that I'm going to have for the next upcoming 2 or 3 months. So this is just the first video. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 other videos that are going to come in conjunction with this one. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as you guys know, about a month or so ago, a month and a week or two, I submitted my application for the PPQ 526 permit with the USDA. And what that allows is for me to get queen ants from state lines as well as overseas as well, depending on what locations I put on the application, of course. So I guided you guys through that, and I got some responses from a few people who were interested in it and wanted to know more. So if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome. Check out the USDA site, which is still in the past video, talking about how to obtain queen ants. I have a link in the description that takes you directly to the place where you fill out the permit. So if you live in the U.S., you're more than welcome to fill it out. And if there are any updates with it, any changes with it, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But as far as my permit is concerned, it's been over a month and I have received responses from them, but I haven't been given the final yes or no decision. It right now is close to being in its end phase. And the issue is the only thing that's really slowing this whole process down is because the amount of species that I put on there that I would potentially get, they're all foreign. I don't remember the names of it because I'm really not good with just remembering off the top of my head the types of ants, because these are different ants. These are like just totally different ants. They're not native to the U.S. Well, at least most of them aren't. So the issue is because I'm getting exotic ants, and like it was around 5 exotic ants. The USDA, the people there, just need to ensure that all the necessary precautions are being taken to ensure that they don't escape into the environment and whatnot. And they also have to do their own research, because when I put them in, the USDA, at least at the time that I put them in, didn't have the species on their listing. So it has to go through a secondary process so that it can be authenticated that, yes, these are the type of ants, this is what they do, whatnot. So I kind of made it a little hard on myself, because if I just selected 1 or 2 different species, I would have been fine. But having like 5 different species that are from different locations, that's kind of muddling the process, unfortunately. But it's okay, because at the end of the day, if I get it done and I get it all done, then I'll be good to go. So that's what's really slowing it down. But I anticipate that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I should definitely have a solution to it, and they'll either tell me yes, they agree, or no, they don't, and in which case I have to figure out what is it that they're looking for and how can I amend my process so that they will approve of me having the ants that I'd like. But before that whole process comes, I need captive ants. And what the point that the point of having these captive ants that are going to be local, the point is to have a test. I need to verify that that the ants can even survive in this containment. Now, of course, this isn't the only containment. If you watch my previous video, you'd see where I actually have an outworld that I was going to be developing, at least at the time of making the video, and hooking everything up. So I need to verify that they can survive being in a fully enclosed environment. That's the first thing. The second thing I need to verify is that with the heat lamp, does that work with them? Because ants, depending on the species and the region that they live in, they don't get direct heat. It's not like heat source them, normally it's, through the sky. So can they survive in an artificial environment, let alone not just an artificial environment, but a fully enclosed artificial environment? That I do not know. because if you look at many other people's formicariums, it's a lot different from this. Some of them are like mine, but most of them, they're what you see like the wide tongue nest or something of that nature, or roughly like this sometimes, but it varies because there's a lot of diversity. Some people have it in wide tongue, some have it in like concrete, some do plaster. So there are many different ways of doing it. But since I am an amateur, I don't know what works and what doesn't work and what I need to amend to ensure that they can survive. So what I will have to do is get a local ant colony, capture it, put them in here, and see what happens. They're going to be on a feeding schedule, watering schedule, and whatnot. So I just need to test it to make sure it's good. But before I even get the captive ants, the thing that I have to do is sterilize the soil. Now, even though this is local soil, from what I've been told by the seller, this still has bacteria, viruses, fungi, what have you. And actually, there was a little part in there that I actually noticed was a little thread piece of, some organic piece that was actually getting molded. It was getting fungus over it. It was like the feathery types that you normally see. Like if you walk through the woods and you see like a dead tree that's still moist, you can see like the little feathery stuff. I hate it. I hate fungus so much. But I noticed it. So that's what came in my mind that, well, if I'm going to be having these captive ants, I need to make sure that they're in a sterile environment. So what I'm going to have to do is take the panel off, the protective panel, as well as the screws and, the covering, the face of the formicarium, and I have to put it in an oven-safe container, because what I'm going to do, if it's an oven-safe container, I'm going to throw it in the oven. And I'm going to show you guys that when I actually get to that point. For right now, though, I'm going to wait, give it a week or two before I do it, because I have some other things that are going on with me. Nothing really personal, it's just things with me moving that I need to make sure that all of that's taken care of before I start working on the personal hobby. So when I do go about sterilizing the soil, what I'm going to do is get an oven-safe container. Basically like the glass containers that people sometimes bake cakes in, and I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to put aluminum foil over the sides of it to make sure it's just sealed in, and then I'm going to throw it in the oven. Things I have to research though is what's the temperature. If you have it too high, what happens? If it's too low, you already know, nothing's gonna die. But if it's too high, do I have to worry about toxins being released because of the high heat causing some kind of reaction with the soil or whatnot? So this is totally new ground that I'm breaking, me personally, because I've never done something like this before. So once it's sterilized, of course I'm going to take it out and I'm going to make sure that it cools off. Once it fully cools off, then I'll go ahead and get some gloves, start dumping it back in there. Oh, well, there's another thing that I think about it. I still have to clean the inside of it, because if there are any fungi, bacteria, viruses, or whatnot that are in the soil right now, they're going to be in the edges. So what I'll have to do is basically rip everything apart, take out that sealant, and sterilize everything. Most likely I'm going to use like a bleach solution, or probably something a little more eco-friendly, like a vinegar solution, and just have it soak in there, or just rub it down every so often until I'm satisfied, and then rinse everything all off, with the wet wipe, and then put the soil back in. And once the soil's back in, I'll put the covers on, put the panels on, and put the screws all in. And then once that happens, then I can go ahead and capture a colony. I actually have one of my coworkers who has a large ant nest, and he said, if you want it, you can go grab it. So that's what I'm going to do. Once I finish moving, and then once I go ahead and sterilize everything, I still have to do, once I do all that and have the outworld set up and everything, then I'll go ahead and take you guys through the process of what I'm doing, how I'm setting everything up, how everything's going to look, and how I did everything. And I'll show you guys the big move. So what'll happen? I'm not going to say the whole plan, because it's going to be a bit long for this video. But I'm going to have all the containers set and ready, and then once I capture it, I'll actually show you guys a fast-forwarded footage of them moving from their containment area into the formicarium. And then from there, it'll be new territory for me. It'll be me experimenting to see, does this formicarium work? Does this style work? And if it doesn't work, what happened? Did they get out somehow? Which I highly doubt, because the amount of pressure that is on that protective panel and the thickness of that plexiglass, and then you add in the sealant as well, I highly doubt that anything's going to get out. Highly doubt. Like, I couldn't even move it myself, because the screws are applying so much pressure, and they're applying that constant pressure throughout because they're all like 2 inches apart. I couldn't move it. I couldn't even get it to budge. So, but still, you never know. That's why I'm experimenting, because you don't want to just make something and then trust it, saying it's going to work. Never tested it, but I'm confident in what my work does. You still have to experiment. Even if you're 99.9% sure, there's still that 0.1% chance you're wrong. And if you happen to be wrong with that 0.1% chance, then everything fails. So I'm going to test everything out. Another thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to actually have another video where I show my plans for having the introduction, because if I get approved for the PPQ 526, whether or not, honestly, but if I get approved for it, I need to make a container to have the ants in, because I'm just going to get a queen and a few workers. So what I'll have to figure out is how am I going to contain them until the colony size gets large enough to put them in a big formicarium such as this. And it'll also work, so even if I don't get the PPQ 526 for whatever reason, again, the guy that I talked to, who was the permit scientist, he seemed pretty confident that he thought that what I was doing was a really good idea. It seemed like I put a lot of thought into it, but I'm just saying, on the off chance that it doesn't work, what else can I do? Well, I'm also going to set up, I also have a plan that I'm going to be developing further to actually have the queens, when they get up from their various nests to fly out, have a trap set up so that when they try to fly, they get caught in my netting, and then I'll gather them all up, and then, you know, they'll do what they do. I accidentally, one time I was driving a few months ago, and I just so happened to get out the car and look on the roof of my car, and then I happened to see a queen ant, and I was like, oh my God, that's a queen ant. I captured it. It laid some eggs and whatnot, but at that time, the first design that I had wasn't good. There was not a lot of airflow. There were air holes, but not an airflow, and unfortunately they died because there was a lot of moisture buildup, but there was no way to get rid of it. So even though I had the air vents, it still wasn't enough force out of it to get that evaporation going, nor was there enough heat to force the evaporation so that they would leave the air holes and go out into the atmosphere. But with this design, with me having the aquarium, the bubbler, the air pump, and with me having a heating lamp in the different tubes, which will be, provide an escape for the air, and thus the water as well, then when it evaporates, I think that this design will be a lot better for that, and I don't have to worry about suffocation or drowning or poor airflow or too much heat or anything like that, especially with me having a hygrometer that tells the temperature, as well as the air saturation. So put a lot of thought into this. Just a quick recap. Right now, the PPQ 526 is taking a while because of me putting so many different species on there. I put only 5, but there were exotic species. But the guy sounded like he was really confident in it and my ability to handle them and to contain them. I'm going to have to sterilize this, and I need to make another containment for the smaller colonies, be it local ones when I catch the queens that are fertilized and they start laying their eggs, they need a smaller container. Or if I get the USDA to approve it and I get a queen that is foreign, I still need that containment, either or. Then I'll do my experiments, in which I will show you the entire process. And then once that's done, then you guys will see every week or so, probably twice a week. I haven't figured out the frequency. You guys will get an update on how my ants are doing. So I will be moving in February. I will be gone. So around February 15th, roughly, depending on when I settle in, around that second or so week, so around the 15th of February, I will have my next video out that is going to be talking specifically about me getting the captured colony. So stay tuned. I'm really excited because I have everything set up. I just need to, I already have the plan in place. I just got to do a few things, change a few things up, and then I can go ahead and start getting my capture colony and seeing, does this work? Like, this whole thing, I put so much time into this, but it's getting close. In a few weeks, I'll be testing to see, does this stand up to par? Is this really safe? Is this really a good container? So, and if it works, then awesome. If it doesn't work, then I have to figure out what were the weak points and then amend my design from there and do it again. So hopefully everything will go good, guys. I'm really nervous, but I'm hopeful. So thank you guys for watching the video. Like I said, my posting schedule will be the same as it was pre-holiday, every Friday, 12:01 Mountain Time, US. So I'll see you guys later. Please like and please subscribe. If you have any questions, any comments, or any concerns, please leave them down in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. Or if you just want to leave me a message on YouTube because you don't want it public, that's fine. Just let me know, and I'll help you guys out. And I really like the discussion. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good day, and I will see you next Friday.